Hello, Tarnished, and welcome back to another Souls-like video. Today, we need to talk, like, really talk, and I mean talk, about something that's been bugging me and a lot of folks lately, especially fans of Elden Ring and From Software. So, From Software dropped Elden Ring Nightreign and the reception has been, let's just say, not quite what we expected. The Metacritic score is sitting at a 78. 78 for a From Software title? That's the lowest rated major game they've released in years. Like, what happened? Is it actually bad? Is the community just overreacting? I'm gonna deep dive into this chill style, so grab a drink, throw on some background vibe, because this one's probably gonna get a little bit real. Alright, so let's rewind a little bit. When Nightreign was announced, the hype was unreal, and don't get me wrong, I was one of those people who was extremely hyped for Elden Ring Nightreign. It was around the time where I was finishing up Elden Ring and the DLC, and I thought, perfect, this couldn't be any more better for me. I love Elden Ring, and while I've given it a 6 out of 10 and think it's a mid game, I still think it's very good, and I want to see more from the universe. Elden Ring was already this once in a generation kind of game, and I thought, wow, they've done it once, they're gonna do it again. Game of the Year, countless awards, the memes, the modding scene, it changed the landscape of gaming altogether. And why couldn't they do that again, right? Well, wrong. Nightreign was supposed to be the darker, more refined evolution. The teaser dropped cryptic runes, a shadow eclipse, whispers of an eternal night. People were already speculating lore connections to Ronnie, which would have been absolutely phenomenal, or some unseen offshoot of the Eternal Cities. We all wanted more of that haunting, mythic vibe Elden Ring gave us, right? But what we got, well, not everyone is entirely thrilled, me included. Now, look, I'm not here to just dunk on the game. Let's be fair, Nightreign still got a lot right. I think the art direction, absolutely top tier in the game. The landscapes in the Vale of Shadows are absolutely stunning. The music, haunting, gorgeous. And there's some serious late game boss designs that remind me of why From Software is still the king in that department. Oh, and build variety got even crazier. I mean, like, there's literally a guy who beat one of the new twin bosses using a sleep focus build. Sleep? Like, who does that? But the thing is, for every cool thing Nightreign does, there's this other thing that kind of kills the vibe altogether, I'm not gonna lie. Let's talk about the stuff that really got people side-eyeing this new game. So, first off, the game was meant to be a roguelike multiplayer with 3 people that you would be playing with. The audacity of From Software to think that I actually have 2 other people to play with, 2 other friends who are available at the same time and that I'm going to be available to play, is absolutely asinine. This game should have been more focused on being a single player game first, with a multiplayer aspect second. Not to mention the fact that the multiplayer didn't work as great as intended on first launch. There was a lot of times where you'd be in QA sitting there for a long time or countless hours without any queued up people to play with. On top of that, if you did actually wanted to play with your friends, maybe just you and one other person, there is no 2-player option. That literally does not exist in the game, and was something that From Software has said that they're going to maybe patch in the future. And not to mention the pacing. Man, the mid game is such a slog. You start off strong, you're excited, then it's just swamp. narrow hallways, some repetitive mini bosses, and a whole lot of samey encounters. I know From Software loves their oppressive mood areas, but here it's like they double down on the worst parts of the Lake of Rot. Not to mention the boss fatigue. There are so many bosses, but here's the thing, like half of them are reskins or slight remixes of ones we've already fought. And the worst part, they reuse the whole two bosses at once thing again. You remember how people complained about that in Elden Ring's later game? Nightreign said, bet, let's do it again. Not to mention, like, the lore confusion. This one actually surprised me. Usually, even if the lore is cryptic, the community rallies around it, starts building theories, making connections. But with Nightreign, the story beats feel kind of, I don't know, disconnected. Like we're jumping into someone else's nightmare without enough grounding. People were expecting a Ronnie follow-up, which would have been absolutely phenomenal, or a clear link to the base game's ending. Instead, we got this sort of vague cosmic horror dreamscape that feels more Bloodborne than Elden Ring, but without the clarity or cohesion. And hey, I like weird lore. I'm literally obsessed with Soul stories. I watch people's takes on the Souls-like genre and the lore deep dives on a daily basis. But when the lore channels are struggling to make sense of the timeline, you know, like, something's really off here. So, what does the community think? Well, it's kind of mixed. On Reddit, you'll get posts like, I love From Software, but this just ain't it. The atmosphere is 10 out of 10, but where's the fun? I died 27 times to the Shadowbound Revenant, and I feel nothing. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely still a group that loves the game for what it is. Folks who are like, you just don't get it. This is peak misery. And to be fair, From Software has always made punishing, emotionally draining worlds. But here's the thing, even hardcore Souls fans are saying Nightreign feels more like a fan-made expansion than an official one. Some say it's ambitious, but unfinished. Others say it's beautiful, but hollow. And others are saying that it just kind of feels like From Software grabbed a bunch of its assets that it didn't use in the original Elden Ring, slapped them all together, and then released it as a roguelike game because they wanted to release a roguelike game, but were too afraid to actually release a game that was outside Elden Ring because they weren't sure how well it was actually going to do. And let's be honest, that Metacritic score, yeah, 78. That reflects more than just casuals being mad about dying. It shows that even critics who usually praise From Software to the moon and back aren't even completely sold. So, where do I land in all of this? Honestly, I'm a little bit conflicted. I love parts of Nightreign. There are moments where I'm like, yes, this is the Elden Ring magic. But then there's this fatigue that kind of sets in. Like the game is wearing you down, not because it's hard, but because it doesn't know when to let up or when to surprise you. And usually for a lot of fans, when you finish a From Software game, you want to immediately start a new build and play the game again and again. And honestly, I didn't want to play the game for more than 2 hours. And that kind of hit me hard, as I had a lot of high expectations for Nightreign. Look, maybe we were too hyped, maybe Elden Ring set the bar so high that nothing could live up to it, or maybe From Software's just experimenting in a way that didn't quite land this time. Either way, Nightreign is a wake-up call. Not everything they touch turns to gold. And that's a little bit sad. But hey, that's part of why I love this community. We can praise From Software without pretending they're invaluable. We can be critical while still being fans. Alright, so here's the part that kind of scares me, not gonna lie. Despite the mixed reviews, Elden Ring Nightreign has already sold millions. Like, it's crushing it. Just off pre-orders and launch week alone, it's probably outsold some full AAA games. And that's kind of a little terrifying, if I'm going to be honest. Why? Because publishers are gonna look at those numbers and say, oh look, this worked. Let's do more of that. They're not looking at Metacritic. They're not watching your 45-minute lore breakdown or seeing your Reddit rant about reused assets. They're seeing big money tied to minimal innovation. And that is completely dangerous when it comes to a Souls-like game. This wasn't a breakout success because Nightreign is some revolutionary game made by some indie company and this is their first ever launch. It's because Elden Ring is a cultural event. And From Software, they've earned so much goodwill that people, me included, will buy anything with their name on it, no questions asked. They have a loyal fan base, and From Software has built up a reputation that what they put out is going to be a quality game. So if you pay $50 for a game, you know that you are getting your $50 worth. But here's the thing. If the most mid-game FromSoft has ever dropped still sells like hotcakes, other devs are going to take all the wrong lessons from it. They're going to look at Nightreign and go, oh, they want grindier combat. They want more multiplayer-focused games. Let's build in live service element and cosmic bundles. It worked for From Software, right? And bro, honestly, that is not what we want. From Software's multiplayer is cool because it's weird and janky and passive-aggressive, but I honestly don't want Fortnite-style battle passes creeping into my invasion builds. I don't need a $10 Moonlight sword skin that glows pink when I backstab someone, but if the sales are good and no one's reading between a line, that's where this all leads to. We're gonna end up in this fake evolution of the genre where studios start layering on co-op dungeons, artificial grind, cash shop cosmetics, and calling it Soulslike just because it's hard and moody. This is how great genres rot. Not overnight, but slowly, when the money says yes and the fans are shouting, wait, hold on, this isn't what we want, and nobody's listened. And quite honestly, I think we need to be a little bit louder. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm standing with Nightreign at the moment. A mixed bag with some real standout moments, but also some major missteps. Let me know in the comments, did you play it? What build did you run? Did it live up to the hype? Or are you sitting there staring at the 78 score and like, yep, that tracks out. As always, thanks for hanging out with me. Don't forget to bonk that like button, hit that subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next dive into the Soulsverse. And as always, don't forget to check me out on Twitch at limerivt so that you can watch me play Souls-like games live. As always, stay human out there, or, well, maybe not. Catch you next time. Tarnish. Goodbye.